Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to speak about ancestral reverence, okay? This concept is very different to generational trauma, okay? And I want to start to put this out into the ether webs, okay? To help people understand this concept and cling to this concept over the idea that we always have to have ancestral trauma rather than ancestral advantages, which actually starts to emerge when you start working on your foundations, your root chakra, your muladhara, which is your root support. Someone has recently started my spiral program again, where I take them through 8 weeks, through all the 7 chakras and a character integration at the end. And week 1 happened yesterday, and I'm tapped into that grounded root chakra energy right now. You can hear it in my voice, right? There's a primal centeredness about this. And I think that once you find your own center, like it wasn't until I really came back to India and I set my base here that I really started to optimize the ancestral lessons that I needed to get on my specific journey. So maybe you live abroad or you don't live at your place of birth, but it's very, very empowering to get the downloads, at least while you're going through this ascension process, to connect with your culture, because this is one of the things that I felt like I was missing as I grew up in many different parts of the world. I don't have an accent, as you guys can hear. I started to gather different reference experiences. And I'm guessing this is what gives me greater access to working with many different styles and pantheons, because I observed it in my psyche growing up. Going to all these international schools, I picked up different accents from people, different cultural attributes from people, different energy signatures from individuals from all countries around the globe, okay? So now that I have that reference experience, I took all of those experiences and came back to my hometown. Of course, this was the time where the pandemic had hit in the beginning, so I was kind of locked down here to begin with. But then I started to form my own business with Ryan G. So initially how it started was, we had started a dating company, which then we realized that we needed to heal the men that we were coaching, because ultimately, to be able to be in a relationship, you would need to work on the different aspects of your own inner healing, right? And your own inner self-growth. This is what we started to discover through our path, that there was a lot of shadow work involved with this. And then we started to put in an energy clearing protocol, which I learned for many years. And that seemed to be adapted very well with working with specific frequencies, energies, deities, archetypes that we would work with, right? It's very powerful to do that. And that's been a very healing process, at least for myself. But the technology has been vast. It's been very, very profound. And it's very multifaceted, right? There's lots of elements to these technologies that we're getting. A lot of them are channel downloads. I channel every week. So I'm going to channel tonight. If you're interested, I'll send you the link, okay? Or you can join the Telegram group. The link will be posted, the Zoom channeling. And if you've never experienced a live channeling before, this is a good opportunity for you to get started. And if you become an adept, you will get all the recordings of the channelings that you might have missed, okay? So having said that, thank you so much for tuning in, tapping in. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Now, one thing to understand about your own ancestral reverence is you got to really learn to respect your own culture, okay? The reverence comes through the respect. Once you start to understand the power, the integrity, the strength of your own people, you will start to recognize that these different aspects are starting to line up with a vision that I have for the future. For instance, as I walk down the street and I see people, I try to envision what they would be like if they were in their best forms, right? Like, what if I could turn that guy Sigma, right? In my mind. Like, what if I could transform them to see them in their highest light, to perceive them as a god or a goddess, right? To perceive them that way. Not that they are, that changes something. The internal circuitry within starts to change differently, right? Because even though it's an impression projection in a certain way, you are still interacting with that person from a different frequency now. Because that perspective has a specific energy associated with it, which is reverence. So to understand reverence, you have to understand respect. And to understand respect, you have to learn how to trust. And to learn how to trust, you're gonna have to learn how to put down your heart walls, because maybe that you've been through some past events where you may have to, put up some walls, some boundaries, right? Like, don't mess with me. This kind of protective shell, outer shell, that protects and preserves your identity or your ego. Your ego mind identity, as we call it. So a very simple thing that you could be doing is finding elements from your culture that you really revere and enjoy. For instance, I love a lot of different aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism, very powerful philosophies and ideas there that I weave and blend into my days. So for instance, you see Shivaji's trident right here, which is a big impact on my life. You see this kind of monk robe. Of course, I'm associated with the Kadampa lineage and so forth. So what am I doing here, really? I'm connecting to my spiritual lineage, which my father is pioneering, okay? Well, he's teaching in a certain context, right? You're Atish Dipankar. So Atish Dipankar, not a lot of people know him, okay? But if you start to look into this guy, you'll start to notice he was a very wise trailblazer, a monk, okay? A scholar, you could say. So really described it in a very scholarly way and gained enlightenment through his own process. I'm connected to that lineage. I'm connected to this Shiva lineage because we used to own a Shiva temple in my family. And of course, there's just been a lot of synchronicities in certain parts of the world. Like, I feel very drawn to certain Greek or Roman things at random times. Or I will notice sometimes even Japanese comes up, or even like Native American comes up. Of course, Chief Deno was one of my first spirit guides that I worked with, which was, again, it was a Native American spirit. So this was a very powerful chieftain anamorph energy of a tiger. And I'm thinking of making some art, actually. I got a little canvas today, and I'm gonna make some art dedicated to Chief Deno today, because I feel very called towards doing that. So these are just some ways that I'm sharing with you my own ancestral process and my own journey, right? Of course, I have one of my uncles who's more so associated with Babaji's tradition of Kriya Yoga and so forth. So he's very connected to Yogananda's lineage and that practice. Of course, I have also a background in transcendental meditation. I've done that course. The beginner's course, I didn't take it any further. I found it served my purpose, let's just say. It brought me to that state of consciousness that I was intending it to, right? So it did its work for me. I sometimes still go back to the TM practice, but I think I'm going to use more so the principles that I learned from TN more than the actual TM mantra that I had received, even though that might have some impact, because I think in some ways this is connected to Saraswati's lineage, the TM stuff. It's something that I experienced, at least when I tapped into this energy, because before you do transcendental meditation, they do a little puja on your behalf, right? And that's a Saraswati puja, a very powerful one, but it does bring you into that path working in a sense, okay? So if you are just beginning in this path and you have no idea, and maybe you're indoctrinated or you're put under a spell or you're brainwashed into a specific path that you haven't chosen, you're kind of forced into it, just sit down and have a think about it and really start to connect with your roots. And the way you do that is, you know where your gooch is, right? That area, the perineum area. Imagine that there is a red fireball over there. That's where the root chakra, the Muladhara, exists on an energetic level, okay? So imagine that is unlocking some energy and sending it up your spine and sending it down to earth. So then you have this pillar of support, this backbone of the community. You get that? There's a certain rootedness, a foundationalness that you need in order to be stable in your physical and emotional world. So this is why walking bare feet, wearing acupressure slippers around the home gets the energy from up here down into the rest of your body again. This is why grounding is really, really key and really, really essential for us, okay? So we might talk about it, but I want people to actually do it and be about it, okay? Anybody can mention it like, oh yeah, this is a trendy thing to do. I saw some TikToker do it the other week. Cool, bro, but have you put it into practice? So this is the thing. We have to really start to refine this ancestral reverence, this lineage, by respecting it within ourselves. I want to make Indians cool again, bro. I'm actually going to drop a song. It's going to be called Dirt and Chaos, about how people negatively stereotype Indians. It's going to be about that. It may wake some people up, so that's why I want to drop it. Also, if anyone wants to do any internal cleanup work or something to do with ancestral healing, ancestral clearing, then definitely send me a message. I will be happy to try to help you at the best of my capacity for that, okay? Having said that, I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you. And stay legendary. You got this, we got this. Upward Spiral Gang. And we out. Boom.